Shalom Yashral. Every so often I notice different subjects tend to raise up amongst us Hebrews. There almost seem to be like on a cycle sometimes where they will raise up and then kind of disappear for a while and then raise up again. Lately the subject of polygamy has raised up. There was recently a debate between two well-known pastors in the Hebrew community, Pastor Charles Dowell of Straightway Community versus Pastor David Roberts of Teshuvah Community. Pastor Dowell was arguing from the standpoint that there's nothing wrong with polygamy. There's nothing in Torah condemning a man from having multiple wives. Pastor Roberts, on the other hand, was coming from the standpoint that from the very beginning, Yahuwah had ordained just one wife to one man. Now, the debate between these two men lasted almost 5 hours long. I'm going to try and explain my position in less than 5 minutes. But let me say from the get-go, since coming into the knowledge of my Hebrew roots, I've closely followed both of these men's ministries, and they both strike me as sincere men of Yah. However, I have to side with Pastor Roberts on this one, and here's why. Even though we don't see a direct command against polygamy in the Torah, we as spiritual people must understand that our sovereign, Yahuwah, he has a permissive will and a perfect will. We see his perfect will from the very beginning when he produced one wife for Adam, not two, not three, not 5 or 7. Yahuwah also, in his permissive will, though he makes allowances for polygamy, he also makes allowances for divorce and for slavery. When Israel wanted a king so badly, when they failed to recognize Yahuwah as their king, in his permissive will, he gave them Saul. Yah's permissive will is necessary because it allows us as people to have free choice. Yahuwah is never going to infringe on our free will to choose. But what does Yah want for us? He reveals this in the book of Romans, chapter 12, verse 2. And do not be conformed to this world, but be transformed by the renewing of your mind, so that you prove what is that good and well-pleasing and perfect will of Elohim. He wants our lives to be aligned with his perfect will. In another place he says righteousness with contentment is great gain. But sadly, man's problem has been a desire for excess. He's never satisfied. We see this in the lives of men with great wealth. They're not satisfied with one car. They need to have 5 or 10 cars. One house is not enough. They need many homes. We must understand in ancient times it was a norm for kings to have a harem. That means multiple wives and concubines. But we see Yahuwah's feeling on the matter in Devarim or Deuteronomy 17:17. When speaking about the future king of Yasharal, Yahuwah says this, and he is not to increase wives for himself, lest his heart turn away. We see the harmony in the scriptures when we fast forward to the renewed covenant writings, and we see in 1 Timothy chapter 3 verse 2 and 1 Timothy chapter 3 verse 12 that the overseers and the deacons, the leaders of the assemblies, were only to have one wife. So if Yahuwah wants the leadership to have just one wife, those in positions of authority, those that are supposed to lead by example, wouldn't it stand to reason that that reveals his perfect will? Pastor Dowell raised concerns about raising up righteous seed and repopulating our numbers of Hebrews. But when it comes to repopulating the earth, we saw that Noah only had one wife and his sons only had one wife as well. They didn't have a problem with repopulating the earth. What I've seen in my walk with Yah is when we strive for what Yahuwah permits rather than what he prefers, we end up losing out in the end. And we can see this in the dysfunctional households of Abraham and David. At the end of the day, Yashral, it really comes down to one of two things: following our own will or following Yahuwah's perfect will. It is my prayer that each and every one of us will strive to follow Yahuwah's perfect will. Yah bless.